dead end. And that's when I met you, strolling through number 10, and I was getting water thrown on me by a lot of kids who are not kids anymore at the pool, because I would play every Wednesday at the pool after I played golf.
Right.
And then that's when you heard me singing and you came up, and amazingly enough, that it's crazy, because the one guy you introduced me to, it didn't work out musically. I ended up being in Nashville and ended up getting a publishing deal right after that. But the funny thing is, we played golf for how many years? I mean, like 7, 8, 9 years before we finally wrote. And then we write "I Don't Have to Be Me Till Monday."
Well, that's
Your
the
guy,
exactly. I mean, I remember that day you were playing American Pie, and I thought it was Don Henley or Don. I was sitting there listening. I'm going like
Don McLean,
Don
yeah,
McLean, sorry.
yeah.
And I was like, what the heck is going on? They turn that music down. These people are going crazy at the pool. And they go, no, that's Steve Azar. And to kind of reverse that, about a month before that, when Sissy and I, I think it was Tom Manella's here in Greenwood, and they had you played there. They had a $20 cover charge, and well, we didn't get in there till real late. Well, you'd already finished singing, and they wanted us to pay $20. I said, I ain't paying $20 to listen to nobody sing, let alone when he's done. And it was so funny because a month later, I meet you at Greenville Country Club, and you're a golf nut. I mean, you're a totally golf nut. You did that so you could pay your dues. And hey, if I play, well, you play here at the pool, maybe you'll waive your dues. So you did that.
It was waiving my dues. That's right.
Yeah, and I mean, it was just like the craziest thing. And you've been to L.A. and you've been to New York and been shot down. I think that's the thing with our podcast is talking about golf and the process you go through it. And you lose more in golf than you win. Same thing. Trying to be an artist. It's just tough. But you got to learn from those experiences, and you got to go forward. And that's kind of the purpose of this podcast is to get that out to the kids. You're going to lose some, but what are you going to learn in those situations? Because when you win, it goes away so fast. It's an instant gratification, and then the next day you're off to something else. But you mentioned, we'll go back. You mentioned that you played tennis in college at Delta State. Am I not?
Well, we were going to play. My buddy Ken purposely just moved back, and it's sort of funny. We're trying to start again. And we think we're 17 again, but
You're not.
We went to go. No, I don't know. I just noticed that because I woke up with bursitis in the knee and my wrist was swollen. I mean, it's awful. But anyway, the point is, we were pretty good growing up. There were people that were way better. I mean, there was a reality check. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have that reality check in golf because you were one of the great ones on the planet for a while. And so, but I did. I saw somebody like you playing tennis. And so it never panned out. So, I mean, in fact, couple guys that ended up getting the scholarships of whatever degree they were at Delta State at the time, they had never beat me and Ken, ever.
Wow.
But and then we became good friends afterwards, and we still are. But it was just sort of politics at the time. But now if I could go back, they would give me a scholarship just because I've been the artist in resident for 9 years. I'm kind of waiting on them to give me a doctorate, like my official doctorate there.
Yeah, you have a brother that actually is a doctor, but he's a certified doctor.
Yeah. He's a real deal. He's the chief of staff. But you know what the funny thing is that, and I love Delta State. I fell in love with it when I went there, and it was in my mind. We were going there to do that, and it never panned out. But the bottom line, like it needed to, but the bottom line was I fell in love with the school, and it also allowed me to continue to write music and play music, and that's where the band got started.
Okay. And
that's where things happened. When you and I met, I had gone through a lot of sort of regional success. I mean, we were playing we'd go to the University of Arkansas, and there'd be 1,500, 2,000 people waiting to see us.
Right.
And it was insane. I was playing my own music, but I was also mixing it with sort of what you heard, and we were a little wild, and I was going through these times. But what I did learn how to do was entertain, and also at that point I was being honest.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know musically where I was and who I was. The thing about growing up in the Delta, and in Mississippi in particular, is it's the most amazing place, but you get hit by all these influence and genres of music. You think about it: gospel, country, blues, folk, rock and roll. It's all coming at you. And when it wasn't until I made the Indianola record, after the Waiting on Joe record, that I realized who I was. And then that was a look in the mirror, a crossroads moment. And I had to make some decisions because I finally found out exactly who I needed to be that was so honest. And I wanted to tell that story. And listen, I didn't have a hit till I was 37. So think about when I was in Greenville at that time. I was 26 or 7 when you met me, 26. Within 7, 8 months, 10 months, I thought it was over. I really did. I thought, just got married and I needed to take care of that. I didn't have another option, but I thought it was over. And all of a sudden I'm getting publishing deals left and right with some of the songs that I first wrote when I was a kid. That was the ones that got me all the offers. And it was like I'd written all these songs, and then somebody who became my first manager, Rick Sanchek, who's still an incredible mentor of mine. He's a brilliant guy. He said when he had turned me down when I sent music in, and I went in there, and he goes, "Well, you don't look like your picture. Maybe you don't sound like your tapes that you sent in." And I took that well,
Right.
I think that's a compliment.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I played, and then he goes, "Hey, play me something you did when you were the very beginning." And I went back to those songs. I couldn't believe I remembered them because you're talking about half your life ago.
Right.
And I played one. He goes, "Play another one," and I did. And somehow the grace of God, I remembered him, and he looked at me and he goes, "You're a songwriter." And I went, "What?" He goes, "You're a songwriter." And by that end of the day, he had offered me a deal. I went to John Prine's manager and partner, Al Bonetta at Oh Boy, and I played him those same songs. He offered me a deal, and I was going like, I've had these songs my whole life, and I've kept them in the drawer. And isn't it funny? And there's an example of, I still was a zillion miles away from writing a hit song. But but there's an initial moment in your life when your subconscious takes over. And I think we have to have a gift. I do. And as much as I'd love to be able to hit a ball and on the golf course like you, it'll never happen. I'll never create that sound. I'll never have that feeling that you have. But I did have it when I wrote songs. And even when I didn't know what I was doing, there was something going on that was right. Now, it wasn't really good yet, but you could see that somewhere in there, once I learned the craft, that hopefully things were going to work out, and they did. So what a blessing,
Well,